Oh, it was Pebble Beach, primetime golf. Remember?
Yep.
Last year.
Yep.
It was just West Coast golf, West Coast majors, because the amount of coverage is incredible. You just get fucking a lot of golf in the afternoon.
I got to think East Coast people love this too.
Oh, yeah. We're recording this in the afternoon. It's almost 7 o'clock there. These guys aren't even at the turn.
It didn't really hit me until I'm watching golf and they're like, here comes Bryson arriving. And I'm like, arriving? It's 1:30. Why is he arriving?
What's your take on watching a course that you've played several times on television?
Yeah, I mean, it's playing like you and I both said it would play, right? Where this rough is dangerous. It's not that long. But if you try to do stuff you can normally do, you might get into trouble because the fairways are so freaking narrow. Like, I don't know. I just saw one shot that kind of did. The one thing I think it's probably hard on TV to show people how narrow these fairways are. They're really narrow.
I agree. Bryson just broke his club.
He just broke a driver. He doesn't get to replace that, does he? During this round?
I don't think so.
This is
well, he's going to want to
he's going to want to
screaming for a rules official. I mean,
hey,
guys, it's always something with this guy, man. It is always something.
Are we sure a broken driver isn't the worst thing in the world for Bryson if he has to just hit 3-wood?
How do you do it?
I don't know. I can't really tell. He must have done it on the swing. This is weird. Us watching golf while we're doing the podcast. That's incredible.
Yeah, his head just fell off.
Literally and figuratively.
But my thing is with this guy, this is not his fault. Like, he didn't, before the ant, and he's always screaming about rulings. But I'm not a rules official, but he's already freaking. You can see he's going to a rules official right now. He's on edge. That's his fucking club. That'd be like telling Steph you can't shoot 3. I mean, he's freaking out.
Wouldn't you be?
People. Yeah, I mean, but he to me is over the top with this stuff. Like, he is a little aggressive. Like, it's gonna really throw him off. I almost picked him for my DraftKings because it kind of hit me. We loved him, then we hated him. I'm like, he'll probably be pretty good.
Yeah.
He's already a little too tight for me. You can just feel it. Like, there is something with him, and he is a revelation on what he's doing. That he's just a little tightly, like, Dustin, Koepka, there's a little more relaxed,
Did he, John, sorry to interrupt, did he clip the tee box marker? Is that what happened? Because he was straddling the tee box marker. I wonder if he clipped it on the follow through. Because for people who didn't see it, the ball is inside the tee box marker. He's standing outside of it and swinging around it.
I don't think he did.
It's hard to tell. I can't. All right.
Because I think if he would have clipped a guy, you would have felt like it would have thrown him off.
Yeah, and it probably would have hit you would have seen the thing move.
Well, he's swinging 700 million miles an hour, so he'll tell you
Where'd
about it.
Where'd the ball end up?
In the rough, like 400 yards.
Nothing like a
My brother has Puma golf shoes. The ones Bryson's wearing, they actually look pretty sweet.
Have you tried them on?
He said they're already ripping apart.
I've tried them on. I'm not a fan.
I'm not anti-Puma anything because their gear does look pretty solid. I don't know if it's the best quality all the time.
I did some Puma gear Googling just because Ricky Fowler looked pretty sweet in one of the long sleeves I saw him wearing. But, Ricky Fowler's a model. And their stuff is reasonably priced. I know I've tried their shoes on before and was not impressed with them just walking around the PGA Superstore.
I'm always a fan of just a pretty plain, straightforward hat. Their P hats are it's just a solid look. It's not trying too hard.
If my name was Peter, I'd get one.
Yeah, 100%. He's freaking. He actually was trying to look happy.
I mean,
it is kind of fun.
Maybe he'll make the most of this.
I just think he has to hit a 3-wood from here on out.
Which you and I were saying he should have done 2 holes ago. All right, John, this podcast is brought to you by Do This. Use this. Eaze.com, promo code HAM. EAZE.com, promo code HAM. If you've used it for $20 off your first delivery of $50, awesome. Tell somebody else. Pass it on. We appreciate it. They'll appreciate it. Maybe you pass on the promo code to them, and then they pass something on to you.
I know. Pay it forward. I got my, if you're watching on YouTube right now, my Caminos. Love my Caminos. Promo code HAM. Eaze.com, promo code HAM. But all you got to do is just go to eaze.com, wherever you live, from Sacramento all the way down to San Diego, headed right toward Mexico. There's stops in Mexico. It's called California borders. But you just search. The menu changes by region. I'm a sucker for the Caminos, edibles. They have vapes. They have, sleep aids. You name it, they have it. They actually have, I think as the kids call it, just regular flower, like to smoke some weed. Everything you need. They got pre-rolls.
The cannabis flower.
Yeah, you don't even need to worry. It's already rolled for you. So go check it out. Eaze.com, promo code HAM.
Just got to be 21 or over, wherever you are. Eaze.com, promo code HAM. $20 off your first delivery, $20 or more. Eaze.com, promo code HAM. All right, we're watching the PGA Championship. You've always said this when it comes to the NBA, that live golf betting is the way to go. So I've been keeping an eye on things. You asked me who, if I had to bet on one person right now to win this event on Thursday afternoon, who would I take? And I said I would take Brooks Koepka. I thought he was just ho-hum, steady, and had a really good first round, nothing that blew anybody away. He's only plus 350 right now. If you were inspired by Tiger, John, you could get him at plus 2,100. That's $10 when you're 210 at this point on a Thursday.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you this. I thought,
or I look at 100 wins you 2,100.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one thing you and I have talked about is picking one golfer to win one tournament is hard. So maybe you take 10 guys and put $10 on them all, $5 on them all. I don't know. I did think this, just watching Tiger today, I think he'll hold up. I thought he played pretty well. I bought ESPN Plus this morning just so I could watch Harding Park. And at one point, Tiger missed 5 fairways in a row, but just kind of settled in, never looked like he was tight physically. So just a thought.
Well, yeah, one thing, MyBookie.ag, promo code HAM, and the number 1. I'm a big believer in this, and we talked a lot about this in the NFL season. There is nothing more overrated than the first drive, right? Because, if you can't score points on your first drive, if I'm an owner, I'm yelling at my coach Monday morning. That's unacceptable. We saw it pretty consistently. And I'm not even looking for Kyle Shanahan touchdowns or Andy Reid first drive. You should move the ball on your first drive. Your coach's game plan all week long. The other team has no fucking clue what's coming. Most good offensive coaches move the ball and put up points, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown. And it's often, I get this text a lot from friends I can't believe I bet on the Niners. After 3 drives, it's guys, just take a deep breath. It kind of plays itself out. The one thing, though, with live betting on golf is once you get, I might even wait till tomorrow, because if I was going to put some money on guys, obviously if you had to, John, you got to put a substantial amount of money on one guy right now. It's clear the safe bet is Brooks Koepka. He, to me, is just, you compared him to Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to push back. I think he's Roethlisberger, because I think he's like Rodgers. I mean, he's won 4 majors. Now, I know it's hard to do the comp, majors and Super Bowls and stuff, but
I compared him just in his the way he likes to talk shit to the media and with a sly smile. Yeah.
I think Brooks is more likely to say something even a little more candid than Aaron.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Call out the guy. Roethlisberger be yeah, I don't like him. And you're like, what? Roethlisberger, that's your center.
To me, the similarity where I still think it's A-Rod is, you're right. Ben will say something like Brooks. He'll say more. It was just more in the way both of them say just a little something and then kind of smile and then walk away like king of the world.
Because Koepka's got something tomorrow all over the club breaking, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what the swing speeds say about broken shafts, you know? And it'll be funny. And that he's got a little Rodgers with Bryson.
But I like the Ben, too.
You got Tony Finau guy at plus 2,600. So you bet, $50 wins 1,300. He's good. Here's the thing. He's good. He's played well in majors. Now, he's never won anything, but if you wanted to bet on a quote-unquote longer shot, because I'd say this. I didn't really watch Tiger beside Twitter stuff because I was listening to it. Did you think Tiger, did you watch him going, this guy's going to win this tournament?
No.
Because he's kind of got to outthink you. He's it's like a football team that wins when they got to run some trick plays and they got to get a turnover. He needs a lot of things out of his control. He needs you to fumble 3 times, right? He's not just going to, oh, shit, Tiger's up by 4 after Saturday. No, He's going to need like a couple guys to come back. Like, that's how he won them. People forget. When I rewatched the Masters during Corona, and remember the Nance did those things like on a Saturday and Sunday. He did Phil one day, he did Tiger on Sunday. It was really good, like because they were both zooming in and Tiger was having fun. Tiger was like 3 down after like 8. When I was like, God, I thought, oh yeah, Tiger wasn't kicking everyone's ass. And then they both hit it in the water on the par 3. And then remember what was the whole like 15? What's his name? Molinari fucking clips a tree, hits it in the water. Finau's freaking out over there, and Tiger's just boop, 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 boop. Like back in the day, you go to YouTube and you watch Tiger, like, I guess he said the other day, he's like, yeah, there were 3 tournaments in my life where I realized after Saturday, as long as my heart kept beating, I was going to win. And the guy like listed it. Is like, I bet he was talking about the 97 Masters, the 2000 Open, and this other, like the team where it was just boat racing everybody. To me, if he were to beat Jack, it would be like, it'd be the equivalent of like a fighter, like Mike Tyson becoming the heavyweight champ, just like outthinking you. Like he's not as talented as these guys anymore, right?
No.
Because one thing, like when you push back, like, oh well, how does Brady keep doing it? Well, I'd say when I watched Brady win Super Bowls pretty recently, I always felt like, God, this motherfucker's the best player on the field, or not, if not one of them, right? Like storming back against Atlanta.
Yeah, look, when Tiger, part of the deal with Tiger used to be one of the longest drivers on tour.
Well, he's the best. He was the longest driver, best putter, and just most
best iron hitter.
Yeah.
Which he still might be one of the best iron players, but
my guy Sean Norris, 6,100 DraftKings -3.
What a pick! I like his look.
I'll be honest with you, guy. I don't know if I have the wherewithal to do this in football because I do think I know more in football. Like I can just, I like this wide receiver against this defense. With golf, I listen to like 4 or 5 draft fantasy podcasts, and I wrote down some notes. Like I'm not pulling this shit out of my ass. Like now, granted, I didn't pick him in our game, but I'm just saying for some of my
why
guys.
Don't you have the wherewithal to do it for football?
Well, because I think I need to do it more with golf because I don't know some of these guys.
So you are less confident. You might be overly confident for football. Is that what you're saying?
I just feel more probably because I don't look at it from an analytical standpoint, and clearly the best fantasy people do in football. I'm more like I like this guy against this defense. Not like I won that much of football ever, but I can't listen to fantasy football podcasts, but I can listen to fantasy golf.
Yeah. Well.
Because I'm like, I don't want to.
Well, you know what I've noticed is like fantasy golf, because I've listened to a lot of them too and watched a lot of them and I put in a lot of time on my DraftKings lineups or my MyBookie.ag promo code HAM1 picks. There's not a lot of like, oh well, he'll get you 9 birdies, he'll get you X amount of points. There's not a lot of talk about the fake points in the golf fantasy. Maybe that's why it's easier to listen to. But
I would say the one thing in football that I always like getting tipped off on, this guy is their goal line running back. Because I've had a couple times, like you'll have a running back like giving you 100 yards, and then they yank him at the 5-yard line. You're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And you just got to like that. To me is like the nitty gritty. With golf, when you get the guy, he just gets to do everything, right? That's what's nice.
By the way, there's also NBA. That's a big deal. Although I know LeBron is taking a night because of a groin on Thursday. I think it's Thursday night. MyBookie.ag, promo code HAM in the numeral 1. Over 150 NBA bets to choose from. So many options. MyBookie doubles your first deposit.
Yep.
And
baseball.
MyBookie will double your first deposit, and not only will they match you dollar for dollar. Oh, now I figured it out, John. We've been saying it the whole time. I don't know why I was so confused this time. They doubled the deposit because if you put in 10, they add 10, and now your deposit's doubled. Yeah. This time it confused me for some unknown reason.
What do you think you were saying?
I don't know. I was like, double? No, it's 1 for 1. Anyway, plus they throw in a free NBA future bet. I'm going to leave all that silence in the podcast. Another promo code HAM1 to claim when you sign up.
It pains me to say this. I mean, the one future bet I do kind of like is, in a weird way, it just does kind of feel like the Lakers are going to win the championship. Pains me to say, but it does feel that way.
All right. Other golf things. The course looks incredible. Beautiful.
Looks cool.
Public. I
mean, Dave Fleming was calling golf this morning.
He was one of the ESPN guys calling. Yep. I think one of the things was I tweeted the other day, like, who is this guy with a bulky knee? We like to talk about bulky knees on the course. And Tyler Raber, who you introduced me to, who is now one of the assistant golf coaches at UC Davis, but a great player in his own right, DM me and it's like, well, I think it might be maybe it's one of the PGA pros, the 20 PGA pros who play. And I'd forgotten about it, probably because I barely knew about it. It's one of those things maybe you know and you forget. I don't know. But to me, we're all really aware of it with the U.S. Open, right? That, like, there's all these open qualifiers. People all over the country can play. The difference is the people that generally qualify for the U.S. Open are people that play golf all the time, right? The PGA, there's...
Well, Tyler Raber once did. He was a college golfer. He had been playing on mini tours. He open qualified. Like, he had to play his way in.
These guys, these PGA pros, I was reading about one. I just started diving into these guys. Like, who are they? And they're all phenomenal golfers, right? Like, one of the guys who's from California qualified for the U.S. Open in the 80s, the 90s, and the first decade of the 2000s. And he's qualified again. I mean, so that's
an incredible accomplishment. So he's an elite player.
Nuts, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys have qualified for multiple majors before. Some of them played at Bethpage last year. Like, a lot of them, maybe is their sixth PGA Championship, whatever it is.
So these guys are elite players.
They're elite players. The problem is that they have day jobs. When you're a PGA professional at a club, your job is to deal with the membership. Your job is to put on tournaments. Your job is to give lessons, right? So one of these guys, Danny Balin, out of this club in Jersey,
Trust me, guy, no one's heard of any of them. So
I read his quotes. His course, because like you and I have talked about, courses have been super busy through COVID. The Rona has just brought everybody out to play golf because everyone's home all day, and you can get outside. His course, he said, has been 5 times busier than it normally is in the summer. So he did not get to do like a real range session until last week.
Wow. How did he qualify to get in?
So normally there's tournaments. This year they just took the top 20 PGA pros based on whatever points because they could.
So you did not need to play your way in. So he probably, and more than likely, no chance he's playing his way in, given that he hadn't been able to play, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but if they have the tournaments, he's probably not as busy. And he's like last year, I went back and watched. He and some other guy, it came down to like the last hole in their tournament.
No, but my point is that if they had to qualify during Corona, this guy would have been at a huge disadvantage.
Totally.
Because it's like college football coaches say, all I want to do is coach, but I spend all my time doing the other stuff. Like, all this guy wants to do is practice, but he's got to do all the other crap.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
So anyway,
it's a
I have
thing.
such respect for these guys. He rolled out and shot in a 74, John. He shot a 74. 4 over par.
I know there was a guy, I forget, it was either El Macero or San Joaquin in Fresno, one of the two courses. A pro qualified, I don't know if it was like the U.S. Open or the British Open or something, and he gave an interview, and when he said where he was from, he said like his hometown, like Sacramento, or like Reno, and they were like, he didn't say our name, and the members, I guess, were furious. Like, it's your classic when a guy says, Deshaun Jackson, wide receiver, Long Beach Poly. It's like, fuck you, you're from Cal. Whenever those guys do it, and people get pissed at the school. It's one of those. Would you say your college, if you were like a 12-year NFL player, feels like 1 year I might just mix it up. And not even if I love my college, I'd just be like Davis High School, or South Davis,
right?
Home of the tough guy. Like, try to get people to laugh.
Well, it's true. You got a lot of people. I always think about this, like when a guy makes a big league debut, you think of all the people that are like, man, I played against that guy, or I coached that guy in Little League, or him and my kid went to school together, or there's just so many people, right?
Yeah.
These guys, too, you would imagine how many people bet $5 on all these guys who were, John, they're all 4,000 to 1. Or, bet $1, win $4,000 if they win the tournament. Now, I looked it up. So he did get a new driver. By the time you're listening to this, you know what happened. I looked it up. Last year, 3 guys made the cut. PGA pros made the cut at Bethpage.
Yeah.
That's more than usual. Since 1974 was the last time a PGA Pro finished top 10 in the PGA Championship, and that was Sam Snead at 62 years old. I mean, Sam Snead, Sam Snead, like, it's not really the same as like a normal PGA Pro.
I would say no. That'd be like,
but still, John, he was 62 years old and he finished T3.
but I would say that the field would have been a lot shittier.
Well, yeah, I mean, Chichi Rodriguez won. Lee Trevino finished 5th. But, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about some, like, Hall of Famers.
No doubt. I'm just saying, to your point, the gap probably in driving distance in 74 between a 62-year-old and a 35-year-old was probably not as big as it is today.
You remember Chichi used to do the Zorro sword?
Didn't Chichi wear the hat, right?
Yeah, he'd do the sword, and then he'd put it in.
Yeah.
That's all I remember about Chichi.
Chichi would have got chin music if he was a baseball player. Anyway, so
Bumgarner hit him with the 87-mile-an-hour fastball he's throwing right now?
Absolutely.
He got shelled the other day by the Astros, I saw.
It's good financial savings by the Giants there.
Yeah, good move.
MyBookie.ag ham won on that. And I like your advice, John. Hold off, wait till Saturday, and then kind of see where's there some value maybe in an individual player. I think I'm going to do that.
I am too. I'm gonna do a couple. Like, I'm tempted actually. I mean, I don't know. There might be some value right now.
By the way, if you're listening to this like early Friday,
well, if Koepka's in the lead guy by Saturday morning, that plus 350 right now will probably be minus 110. You know, his odds. Because I saw the no laying up guys tweeted out. Now I don't know where they're getting their odds. They had him at like 5-1. They're just saying like this is the guy's one back. This is his tournament. He's 5-1. Like what kind of that'd be like, you know, Mahomes down 5 points going into halftime. You'd be like, I still like Mahomes, right? This isn't. He should, to me, he should be about even odds.
Yeah,
right
down
now.
5
Once
points in a game.
He's got it back.
Down 5 points and it's 24-21, right? Not like 10-3.
Yeah, it's like, and they're at home and they get the ball. It's like, I like Mahomes. Like I'd feel pretty good about betting on Koepka right now. And again, it's going to be hard for him to win, but we just saw him last week. He's comfortable in the major situations. If there were fans, I definitely would put money on him because I think the fans would wipe out a lot of guys that are going to be in the mix. Yeah. You know, that are they just kind of get to play golf.
One other thing.
I wonder that watching baseball sometimes, like there is an element this year of just the no fans at some of these things. Like a lot of guys that normally probably wouldn't play as well because you always
specifically
people watching.
Specifically good-looking girls at baseball games. Big deal.
For sure. But I think you can
to the players.
Fuck yeah, but just probably crowd noise and stuff in baseball doesn't matter, right? In football it does. Like to me, you're going to get guys in football that aren't going to be as good probably as they will without, or they'll be better with fans.
Just home teams will have less of an advantage, right? Offensive tackles on the road should be better.
I saw they asked Rodgers, like, what do you think's going to happen? He's like, I haven't thought that much about it yet, but I would imagine we're going to obviously have silent stuff, right? Because the other team's standing right there. They can hear everything you're saying. Right. In golf, luckily, the fans, it's only about pressure. It's not like you're not giving away secrets when you're hitting shots. You tell, like, yeah, we're hitting 8 iron. Like, it doesn't even matter. It's more, though, it is pressure. Like, this is a major. Because whenever people say they got 7 million people watching. Well, yeah, they're not there. You know, it doesn't. Who cares?
Yeah. All right, John. Speaking of left tackles not being at a disadvantage, Nick Bosa. Watched him talk. He spoke. We'll do a YouTube video as well about how kind of the shape he's in and what that could mean. But people asked him he got asked about a number of things. One of the things he said, though, is that he still hasn't watched the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. They asked him if he's watched the Super Bowl, and he said, yeah, I've gone back and watched the first 3 quarters. And then one of the reporters followed up, I think it was Jennifer Lee Chan, and said, are you saying that you have not watched the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl? And Bosa's like, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I have not watched the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. Good little nugget.
And he was really good, right? I mean, I remember the fourth quarter. He was flying around, even on the play when the Wasp play.
Well, yeah, Cam Inman asked him, did you see that? Like, did you get held? He's like, I don't know. Refs are human. Like, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Good answer.
Yeah. You know, I don't blame him. That sucks. I can't imagine losing the Super Bowl because that was a big thing with Kyle. Like, I didn't watch Super Bowl for a while, right, when he lost the other one, even though he didn't lose it. I do think you get over it with time, and, you know, you can go back and look at stuff. Now, the reality, it's not like, you know, Nick, you need to work on your left pivot inside rip. Like, you know, I mean, he honestly feels like the most coached up rookie probably in like league history in terms of defensive pass rushers, just fundamentally sound, ready to rock and roll, and he plays really hard. This sounds crazy. Like, what are his huge coaching points move forward? Like, just keep doing what you're doing.
So his thing was, the one thing I've focused the most on is finishing plays. When I beat a guy, he said, I'm pretty sure he said this, and I've never heard anyone say this, I got washed by the quarterback a few times. Right? And we talked about, like, people would tweet about it, like Bosa falling down at the quarterback's feet. So his thing is just trying to stay on his feet and finish plays is what he said the biggest thing is. And maybe he's added a couple moves. That's the other thing he said.
I mean, would you say how many guys can you list on one hand that are in terms of the front runner when you think defensive player of the year 2020?
Yeah, I mean,
Aaron Donald,
Joey, right? Although Joey's been up, like Joey's just been hurt a couple times. He's had some years where it's not 12.5 sacks.
Derwin James looked like a superstar. Remember, he got hurt last year. He's fully healthy this year. I would imagine he'd be in the mix.
Jamal Adams?
With I think Jamal Adams could have pretty huge moments.
Khalil Mack.
Yeah, if they're good. He's on a short list of just being in the mix. Like, when you say the momentum's already there.
Yeah.
Like, remember after Khalil won Rookie of the Year, it was just like, okay, it's where this is headed. Or maybe Aaron Donald did, but Khalil, that first year, even though he didn't have nearly as many sacks, the momentum just comes with you when everyone goes, yeah, this is a guy. And I think when you do that as a rookie, as a highly picked rookie, well, it's two things, right? It's one, your expectations might be unfairly high. And two, when you're playing the Niners, what's the number one thing if you're an offensive coordinator? What's the first thing you say to the team when you're playing them? Where's 97? That's all this can be. Because we saw it firsthand with Khalil. Every team the Raiders played when Khalil, that second, third, and fourth year, was like, we got to watch 52. Where's 52? Where's 52? Where's 52? A little different just because you still have Eric Armstead. They got Kinlaw. But, I mean, Buckner's, I think they just will be heavily, like, double teaming. Like, if he can have double-digit sacks this year, it shows you, like, how good he is because he's going to get the bullseye on him every team they play.
Remember the thing with Khalil, part of it after his rookie year, because he only had 4 sacks. But
yeah, he didn't have that many moves.
But it was like his bull rush is unstoppable, and he can stop. He's just a motherfucker against the run. It was like, so he was clearly, the numbers, if you didn't
dominated.
Yeah, the numbers don't explain it if you didn't see it to remember how good it was. But then he came back the next year. He went from 4 to 15 sacks. Like, so, and with Joey, it's hard to comp because Joey was hurt I guess 2 years ago, Joey was hurt. Right, but he's had just 3. Yeah. Other than that, he only played 12 games at 10.5 sacks as a rookie. So like that one was clearly. Is Nick just going to go from 9?
I'll be honest. I was one of those that was like, this guy's holding out. Is he even that good? And then it was like 2 games in. It was like, oh my God. Because remember Joey's rookie year. Some people talk shit because he held out. He held out those first 4 games, or maybe he showed up and they held him out a couple because he wasn't ready. I forget exactly. He definitely missed a couple games for holdout. Maybe they didn't play him right away. I just vividly remember like 2 or 3 games in, it was like, this guy. Because it was like Joey Bosa, number 3. Unlike Nick, I think he was viewed as like a fringe top 10 player. It was a bold pick when they took Joey.
Yeah.
Like Nick was viewed as the number 1 player going into his junior year, remember? Which is, and when you hear him talk, they kind of talk similarly. But they play like Nick to me is more of a technician and Joey's more kind of Khalil, like more power, which works. I mean, as long as you got the power. I think Nick's a better player.
What's that?
Or can be a better player.
Be a better
Joey's
player.
done it long. Can be a better player.
One thing they asked, like, I think it was Mayoko said, did you guys talk about ever playing on the same team before Joey got his contract? And Nick's like, yeah, I mean, we've spent every waking minute of the last 6 months together, so we've talked about everything. They've been working out together, John. And one thing Nick said was, last year, I just couldn't do as much with this workout guy as I can now because I was coming off an injury. I was flying around everywhere for draft prep. So then I got in shape, but then I had a hamstring early, right, in camp. So now it's not.
No, remember he got hurt. Remember he got hurt twice. First OTA, pulls his hammy.
Then he got the ankle.
Then he rolls his ankle first padded practice.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I gotta take some L's on the Bosa family. I remember like, oh my God, hurt guy in college, hurting fucking OTAs, hurting practice, and both of them were like, oh, freak deal. And if anyone fell on him, it could have been you, it could have been me, it could have been that guy. It's like, well, it's always this guy. Right. And then he starts playing, and again, just like Joey, it was like, whoa, this guy looks pretty good. Because when a guy, I think at this point in time, most fans, there are, a handful of Devontaes that are like, if you really watch this guy in college, he's going to be okay. Now, he went from like, are they going to cut Devontae Adams to becoming a top 5 or 6 wide? Like, he had a huge swing, but not everyone starts fast. But you, to me, know pretty quickly, because your example on Khalil was spot on. Like, if you watched them, you didn't have to box score scout.
Yeah.
Now, the Bosa brothers, their box scores are much better. All you got to do is sit there and watch like 2 series and go, Jesus Christ, where do they find these guys? And they're like, oh, Florida. Urban's like, yeah, I go to Florida. That's where I get all my players. Where do you guys go in the Big Ten? Oh, you go to the Midwest and where they feed everyone corn? Yeah, I just go down to Florida. And that's why I kicked the shit out of all you guys. He was smart recruiting Florida. I'll tell you that much. Because Ohio State, I love this. I've seen a lot on my Twitter account like, oh, the Ohio State-Michigan game, they moved the dates or whatever. It's like, I don't care when that game is. I can't take that game seriously until Jim
That's an Ohio State cover. Yeah, I know.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Like, I'm not like, Michigan, Ohio State. What do you mean? Ohio State's going to beat them by 20? I just got a lot of, and I follow, it feels like a lot of
Michigan's got to like just
people.
beat Wisconsin and beat Penn State on a semi-regular. Minnesota.
Yeah, that is not a rivalry game right now. That's an ass-kicking game for Ohio State.
Bosa said, I'm by far in the best shape I've ever been based on just everything I said about being with the trainer last year. And I think one thing, if you watch him, like you said, he and Joey talk similarly, they're not big talkers. Now, I know everyone's always saying they're in the best shape, but for him, I think the gap between – it's not like he had a regular offseason last year and now is just in better shape. He's saying where I was below my standard coming into the season last year. And he had a great line. He's like, you can't really tell that I'm in better shape because we don't bodybuild. We train to play football, but it's going to show. So, does that mean 14.5 sacks? Does that mean maybe it's 11 sacks and you can't really tell how much better it is? But he's kind of
an FU line to a lot of guys in the NFL? Because I do think there are a lot of bodybuilders that aren't football players.
Yeah, but again, when you watch him say it, like he is just. I feel like it's just what his trainer said to him 10 years ago, or like what his dad said to him.
He's not taking shots.
No, he's just so matter of fact. Yeah. So, if you want to hear it, or actually, I recommend we did a YouTube video on this. Watch it, and you'll be able to watch him say it. But I think part of this might be he's an even better player this year, and part of being comfortable trading DeForest Buckner is feeling good about Eric Armstead. At the time, it was like, okay, maybe we think we can get a good interior defensive lineman, and they end up with Kinlaw. But part of it is just expecting Nick to be better, right? And there is no reason not to expect this guy, motivated by the Super Bowl, it's still painful, best shape of his life. There's no reason to bet against Nick Bosa at this point. You know that
Zeke, Michael Thomas, and Joey Bosa were all in the same draft?
I mean, holy shit. Were they in the same class?
I saw Albert. I don't know if they were all three in the same class. They probably were. I mean, I know Zeke.
Michael Thomas stay?
Yeah, Zeke and Joey, true juniors for sure. Michael Thomas.
Remember we talked about Michael Thomas was like a 3-star recruit coming out.
But I saw that like Albert Breer when Joey signed the contract, he's like, remember when Ohio State upset Bama and won the Natty that year? This is why. It was like their combined earnings were like $450 million. Like those three guys.
No, of course, Michael Thomas didn't stay 4 years at Ohio State.
No. Some high-end talent.
Did they have a DB off in that draft too, or no?
Yeah, I mean they had Lattimore
in that draft.
They had like Von Bell. I'm pretty sure Lattimore was in that draft.
Stupid.
But then they've recouped.
Well,
right?
This is one of the deals. Like you cannot, if you start listing off like the best programs right now in college football, I don't think you can put Clemson ahead of them just based on historical track record, right?
Historical, no, but I think there's kind of a clear line of delineation with the top 4 or 5 right now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
And that's where I do give Oklahoma some credit. They've been producing a lot of dudes like the last 5 or 6 years. Like kind of once Bob Stoops got Lincoln to be his OC, it feels like they kind of flipped a switch back to like a big-time powerhouse again. Because you look, on my timeline, like when all these NFL players are doing these Zoom press conferences, it'll just have a random guy be like, oh, Hollywood Brown. Oh, yeah, he's a Oklahoma guy. Or, oh, there's CeeDee Lamb. Or, oh, there's Baker Mayfield. It's just like, God, these are all Oklahoma guys. I think Oklahoma's a sleeper we don't kind of put with the Bama,
well, they
Ohio
don't get the
State,
respect because
Clemson.
they get their ass kicked in the playoff.
But they do produce a lot of NFL
to me,
guys.
it's like they're like Tony Finau. Like, you're just in the playoff enough, then I just you know what? I just don't give me this. Can they win it? Or fuck it, they're good.
Yeah, Lincoln and Bob would go, you know how many contract extensions got both of us? Lincoln's on his like fourth. You see that?
Yeah, because this one's like he's under contract for like another decade, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got a lot of contract extensions.
All right, John. Before we move on, we appreciate you guys supporting. I've had a few people ask this week, could they still get in our DraftKings game, like as of Wednesday, and the answer was no. The fastest DraftKings fill-up in the biggest game we've ever had. Clearly, we got to figure something out because the max DraftKings game size is 200 people, and we just filled up 150 in 24 hours. $20 buy-in. Middlekauff's in second place or third place as of this recording. The winner's going to get, what, $675 or $575?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's $675.
John,
a lot of
I'm
cash.
stalking right now. I'm in the 20s, but I got Dustin, I got Brooks, I got Finau. So I'm just biding my time. But DraftKings, even if you're not in our game, that's okay because fantasy basketball is easy. You just pick 8 players. You stay under the cap. You pile up points on threes and rebounds, assists. Plus, right now, when you sign up with the code HAM, you get a free shot at $1 million. Free shot at $1 million only at DraftKings. You are talking to two people who hated fantasy. Now, 8 weeks in a row playing golf fantasy. We're all in.
All capital
in.
ALL, all in. I was thinking, I don't know how we're going to play. I don't even know what golf tournaments next week, but I'd imagine a large percentage of these guys take a breather, right? We might have to maybe take a week off and maybe do like an NBA one. I don't know exactly when the playoffs start.
I didn't realize our buddy Cam Worrell, former NFL DB, is in our game. He just tweeted at us. He's in 25th place. What's up?
I've seen a lot of people that and I recognize that guy. I recognize that guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, download. It's fun, guys. It's become our little community. Golf for 4 days. And this major feels unreal. Also helps that I'm right now currently winning $400 in third place. Doesn't suck. So download the app. Baseball, basketball, football's right around the corner. We're about a little over a month, I guess, till the NFL, but we will be going big. I mean, big for
we
the NFL.
We got to get DraftKings to give us like some special treatment.
Yeah, I got to hit it. I got to make a note and shoot them an email.
I mean, we are. What's the old? Well, there used to be this commercial about Hair Club for Men. I don't even remember the commercial, but people always say this. Like, I'm not just a. Do you remember that line?
No.
I'm not just.
Is Hair Club for Men the coloring? Or is
know.
it the growth?
I don't even know if it's the right thing. But the line, someone else will remind me. It was basically like, I'm not just a customer, or I'm not just the endorser. I'm the #1 customer, or something like that. That's how I feel about DraftKings.
You have product in your hair right now?
I do have some product in my hair right now. Yeah.
You're having a good hair.
John, I might have 2 product in my hair right now. Do a little cocktailing. But I got a haircut. I went super short. I was like, you know what? Everyone's going to come out of COVID with thinking they grew all their hair long. I'm gonna look good with my long hair. I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to try and go short when everyone else is going long. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, double product day.
It's a solid look. Download DraftKings app, promo code
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. We just had our the NFL player opt-out deadline came and went, John. I think Patriots led the league with 8 opt-outs. Now, there's different categories. Yeah. There's like voluntary opt-outs. There's opt-outs for being high risk.
Yeah.
There's one category that's called unspecified opt-out. That's where Sean Coleman, the Niners offensive lineman, that's the category at least he's in for the time being.
I haven't seen it. I didn't know that.
So, but like if you're a voluntary,
because if you fall under the category of that risk, you get the 150 from the PA and the league matches it, so you get like maybe they give you 200 because I saw the numbers $350,000. Like if you've had cancer before or something. Because someone brought up this point, like a lot of respect to James Conner. Remember, he's the guy that battled cancer at Pitt.
Yeah,
he ain't fucking opted out. I mean, the Steelers that would have been a big name. I think at the end of the day, the biggest name by far would be Dante Hightower, and you'd probably Chung too. And part of it is they're Patriots. You know, I'll be honest. I think a lot of names that I saw, my first thought is probably get cut, and it's a way to guarantee yourself $150,000. And I think one of the best parts about the NFL, I've said it forever, obviously the sport sets up perfectly for TV, gambling, fantasy, but I think a lot of humans relate to, and this is part of the reason why games tend to just be good, is guys play their ass off because you're playing your ass off for a spot, right?
Yep.
Not just in training camp, but how often they're like, damn, they cut so-and-so week 5, week 8. Like, you can't just like, mailing this in. Like, you fucking pack your shit. I know, I've carried those plastic bags, and it's kind of a brutal game because I saw people tweeting like the scary part is for a lot of these guys that were on the fence, you take a year away, there weren't guaranteed contracts anyway. The way the NFL works, so-and-so opts out, like Dante Hightower opts out. He makes $8 million, which is a lot of money. Like that's a lot of cash that he's bypassing, right? To go to opt out. I don't, it's one thing if like a fringe guy like Travis Benjamin, non-guaranteed contract, you're opting out $8 million. By far, to me, he's the biggest number that I saw. Like, that's a lot of cash, guy. It's the NFL. Your career can end at any moment. Like, he probably won't, but a large percentage of these guys, like, you get Corona Wally pipped, right? Just because the nature of the 7th rounder comes in, whoever team he's on, maybe that guy becomes a starter, and the coach just goes, we got a starter now for $700,000, and the other guy's just gone. Yeah. Now, the way the NFL works, other teams would be interested, but your time on that given team might just come to an end for a lot of these guys, not named Dante Hightower.
I was Wednesday I went golfing out at Presidio in San Francisco, which is a great deal right now, $55 for anybody. Windy as shit. I mean, the windiest I've ever experienced. I thought Harding was going to be really windy Thursday, but as it turned out, it wasn't, at least in the morning.
You guys have ocean views on Presidio?
No, we've got a couple. We've got there's one kind of bridge-ish view. You got some city views. You don't have any ocean views, no.
You enter score?
I did
Doesn't
not.
Count if it's too
I
windy.
did not enter my 99. No.
You don't want that.
No, painful. You don't want that. I will happily put it in. The problem is it drives my handicap up. So then Middlekauff's giving me 17 strokes. But I play with two guys, Mike and Justin. Both said they're going to listen to the podcast. And Justin, Marin guy, plays a lot of golf. I told him go to Koepka, and he said, I don't go to the East Bay. I said, fine.
Long trek when you're over there,
It only takes 25 minutes right now. There's no traffic, whatever. But he was asking me because we were talking about college football versus the NFL.
Tiburon elites.
He's like, well, don't you think, college football, if college football's having a problem with players staying out of trouble in terms of going to parties, won't the NFL have a problem? And I said two things. No. One, NFL guys don't have free time like college players do. Downtime. They have time to go home, but they don't have downtime, right? A lot of them, maybe they got kids, they got other responsibilities, you got to work out. And the other thing is just what you said. Your career is too short to risk it. Your risk reward, it's just, if you're a college football player, what's your reward? Like, what's the reward you get from most guys? The reward is not that great relative to NFL players, where the reward is, I get a year of my career that's only going to be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years, if I'm lucky. Like, guys that play in the NFL play 5 years. That's a lot. I think you need at least 5 or 6 just to get medical. So
I think you got to get 5.
You don't have time to fuck around. So I think NFL players, baseball, now NBA players, there's really nothing they can do. They're in the bubble. But for non-bubble sports, my guess is the NFL guys will be by far the most disciplined.
Well, why in baseball, where they're probably a less outspoken about it, but they are equally as on scholarship as NBA players, most of the guys, right? They have, especially once you sign a contract or you're good, you're on scholarship. You have more juice than anyone in your organization.
You're either on scholarship or you're 9 years away from free agency. So either way, you're like, whatever.
Yeah. In football, someone said this to me the other day. They're like, God, golf, obviously it's made for the coronavirus in terms of being outside, but still the travel and stuff, they've had a lot of success. And I think Justin Thomas say this like a month ago. He's like, after the first week, people were like, kind of on the fence. And then I think once we had a couple positives, people realized we play for our money, kind of like football. So all these guys are taking it really, really seriously. In golf, even different from football, you got a group of 10 to 15 older men screaming at you all the time about not screwing around, literally screaming at you with a lot of swearing words involved in there about not screwing around. And like you said, A lot of there's just their careers. There's too much money on the line, and there's too much volatility in their spot. Like at any moment, it's like, fuck you, you're gone. I said this, guy. We're going to have countless players. I would say a first and second rounder are on scholarship. But I will not be shocked if like a dude on the Texans or the Rams or the Niners or the Patriots gets like caught at a party and they just cut him the next day.
Well,
and
colleges,
like,
colleges have been taking scholarships.
We have said nonstop. We have said nonstop. This is a zero tolerance policy, and it's a way to take a stand to your team. Like we ain't fucking do it.
I mean, look, Gruden said too.
Would you agree someone's getting cut for Corona early on?
Yes, because it's already happening in college. Guys are getting their scholarships revoked, getting kicked off teams for going to parties. Yeah, for going to parties or saying I'm not going to follow the rules.
Wait, a guy's saying I'm not going to follow the rules.
Well, one guy at Arizona got his scholarship reduced or revoked because he basically said, these rules. I think these rules are BS. So like, all right, bye. Which he must, clearly he was fine with going away anyway. Yeah. And then I think, did I just see Louisville today? A bunch of guys went to a party. They found out.
Yeah, they had like 35 positives, and it turned out they all went to a frat party.
So a lot of them got in trouble.
Well, doesn't it seem like pretty clear? I'll give baseball players a lot of credit. Like, I feel like all these teams are taking it really seriously, and it turned out the 2 outbreaks they've had, the Miami, self-inflicted, even though Derek Jeter lied and said it was about milk, and the Cardinals had a sketchy one too. Like, clearly, if you just follow the rules, these teams, there is so much money on the line. The amount of protocol, like these teams are trying to, like they want to get through this, right? And the NFL is probably way easier than baseball in the sense of, now once you're in, and I think I've seen multiple coaches say this, our facilities are kind of like a bubble, right? Definitely for the coaches because they never leave, but even for the players. You get there, we have 10, 12-hour days.
Especially McVay, who looks like an iron worker wearing the full-on drop-down plastic mask over his face.
Is that what he was wearing at practice? He put it over his head?
Yeah, the one that looks like you're when you're like fusing whatever it's called. I'm not a construction worker clearly, but
definitely not. There's no calluses on those hands beside the golf clubs.
That's right.
The thing you you put on your face if it's super cold when you're skiing.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about the clear thing you put over your face when you're putting 2 beams together.
Oh, you're saying his whole face?
Yeah, like the plastic drop down when you've got the little flame. And you're melding.
Andy wore one of those things.
And you're melding 2 big iron beams.
I saw
Somebody
Rick
tell me what that's
Burkholder,
called.
the Chiefs trainer, who's on Twitter, because people started tweeting once the Chiefs tweeted out this video, their opening meeting, and he gives an opening talk, and everyone on Twitter, I mean not everyone, most people like, fuck yeah, Super Bowl number 2, we're gonna win it, and then there's a couple in there like, what does that mask do? And Rick Burkholder responded to the mask. He wears a normal mask around the facility. When he talks to the team, it's the way that everyone can hear him. And so I think they wear that in team talks, and it made sense.
Yeah, and they can see your face. I mean,
they can see your face, you can communicate.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I mean, Gruden said, to your point, John, 2 weeks ago, he said, I want to dominate when we leave the building. Like, we want to be the best team at not getting COVID and following the rules is the point he was making. We want to crush this virus. We want to beat this virus into the ground. And then he faked a COVID hospital stay for a team meeting. I mean, I would say of the Gruden era, this might be the most Gruden thing we've had as his Raiders head coach tenure.
I did get a tweet retweeted on my timeline that said, listen, I have no problem with what he did, but let's be honest. This is exactly what Michael Scott would have done. And I did kind of laugh. It was funny and kind of true. Even though I do agree, I would imagine a lot of people have done some of this just to kind of do a little shock value to the team. I think you could do it like if Drew Brees was on your team, go out to practice and not have Drew there, and just have it like so everyone to kind of shock value younger guys. Yeah, and I think not funny because a lot of people have died, but I do think like going extreme, like he's headed to the hospital. And maybe the part of the shock value is like, is my head coach gonna die right now? Because I think it went on for like 15 minutes with a special teams coach, right? And then all of a sudden he comes into the Zoom like, no, guys, this is not a drill.
Did Gruden do one of these like, all right, let's see. John texted me. No one else texted me.
Yeah, see, that's, just.
That would be the Michael Scott.
I think I saw that like one of the NFL reporters wrote or tweeted that there's going to be a hotline, like a snitch line, and it was like, well, they have a DUI line, no one used it. NFL players don't trust anything, and rightfully so. Like turning guys in, would that information get out? I do think though there will be, if you trust your organization, and just if I was a player, I'm trying to play all these games. I don't want my games to get canceled. If I got a young guy, like I do think people will turn their own teammates in. Like this fucking 6th-round pick, my girlfriend was picking up dinner and saw this guy at a bar. Like what? We can't. That's bullshit. I think it's more about like you're screwing with my money, right? It's less about these guys. No one in the end. These guys party, drink normally, but this year it's like, no, man, I'm staying home. We're all staying home. Suck it up,
Yep.
There's just too much money on the line. It's to me like I go out to dinner or wherever. I went to lunch today. Just had a sandwich outside. I don't know if is that banned right now for the NFL? Like, is that one of the rules? Like, you can't even go eat at random restaurants?
I'm not sure.
But like, let's just say hypothetically, I don't even think twice about it. Like, I'll go out and eat at one of the outdoor restaurants, just in Walnut Creek, support it. Especially if I have a little time and I just need to get out of my house. I went to Mel's Diner today because I went to the bank, and it was more just logistically. It was right there. I got a chicken sandwich. But let's just say that was not allowed. You were not allowed to go, even though it was legally allowed. If I had X number of dollars on the line, it couldn't have been any easier for me to follow the rules. Now, the one thing I've always pushed back on a little bit, I do understand if a 22-year-old who's a 5th-round pick, let's say he makes a team, doesn't quite grasp everything. I didn't grasp. I grasped a lot more at 35. I'm speaking from a 35-year-old.
No doubt. I was thinking this the other day when I was driving. Is like
I do think it's unfair to hold like every 23-year-old to the same standard as some of these older people.
I was once a 19-year-old driver who did stupid shit. I'm not talking about like spinning donuts in the middle of an intersection, but just I drove like a 19-year-old drove, right? Drive too fast, brake too hard, probably forgot a blinker, did some dumb shit. Now,
you want to tell the one time that you hauled all that cocaine across the state lines?
It was a one-time deal, John. That money has now been cleaned. It was worth the investment.
Yeah.
My job now, my responsibility as a 34-year-old driver is to just be aware that there's someone who used to be me, and my job is to help protect him from himself. Just like somebody looked out for me when they were 34, and they were like, fuck, I better stay away from this 19-year-old. Just nothing you can do about dumbass drivers at 19 years old. It's just going to be part of the deal. And then when you're 34, it's your job to look out for the 19-year-olds. I don't mean look out for their safety. I just mean protect yourself against them because they're out there and you were once that guy. I think NFL players are and I said this about the coaches. I think the coaches are going to have an easier time with it than most other coaches because they're used to being told, I know this guy looks okay, but he's got a concussion. You're not allowed to make the decision. He's out. NFL players, and you've always said this, they're used to being yelled at. They have the most rules by far of any
they're used
team.
They're used to getting a sheet at the beginning of a week, at the beginning of a camp, at the beginning of a day that maps out their entire day.
Their days are so disciplined. Basketball days, like sometimes you practice, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's a light shoot. We might cancel it day of. I'll let you know.
I heard the word nap all the time with basketball players.
Baseball, there is no such thing as a practice. You just hit on your own. If you want to come do some infield, there'll be a coach there waiting for you when you arrive. That's it. So football is just, they're so used to structure. They're so used to rules. I'll be shocked if we have repeated incidents with the NFL.
I think the NFL is going to be. I think college is going to be very difficult. I think the NFL is going to be in pretty good shape. Now there's going to be some stuff out of their control, right? Their girlfriends, their wives, their brothers. There is stuff that like. I think the players, 98% of them. I'd say everyone that's been in the league over 3 years be pretty good. Some of the younger guys might be a little hit or miss, but
again, I would even say the people around you in other sports are more conditioned to think you can just hang out. Football, baseball,
they kind of know the deal.
Hey, I'm from Colorado. We got a road trip. I got a bunch of people coming there. Like football, there's none of that shit.
Bumgarner's like, grab a couple 4-wheelers. Let's hit the road.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a different deal.
So
for sure.
I think even the families of football players are just kind of, they know what the deal is.
Agreed.
How about Derek Carr, John? Saying he's disrespected. He's tired of being disrespected. This year's about winning. Is he disrespected? Do you think he's disrespected?
No. I just don't think he's played very well for 3 years now. And we were talking before the pod, figuring out what we were going to talk about. And obviously this is something we both want to talk about. And I said something that I clicked on a link, or like Vic retweeted it. It was like their podcast he does with Jimmy. And he said that the one thing Derek was big on, that he thought he played better last year than he did that season where he almost won the MVP. And then I think
you said that too.
You told, so he must have said that.
He said that he thought he was better last year than he was in the year they won 12 games.
I'm just gonna call bullshit on that. Like
2016? Yeah.
I mean, we've seen the ratings in the Bay Area. Like you and I were on a smaller group of people the last couple of years watching Raider games, but I watched a lot of Derek Carr, and he played a lot better last year than his previous 2 seasons that were terrible. But I think they were completely different players. Would you agree with that? Like the MVP guy was a legit, like you'd go to the map. This guy's one of the top quarterbacks. And I'd say most people agreed. PFF had him as an elite guy. Everyone watching had him as an elite guy. Even people that hated him were like, well, he's fucking having an incredible season. You just watched him play, and he lit people up. Now, offensive line and Amari and Crabtree were awesome, but a lot of it was just there were innate, like in the pocket. He just passed the eye test, guy, of just being a baller. And I thought last year, I never once said, that's an elite guy. Because if you're going to say you were better in 16, you were an elite guy that year. You were not an elite guy last year.
I think a few things factor in.
I'm not even talking about throwing the balls into the dirt and all that crap. I'm just talking about playing quarter 1 through quarter 4 for 15, 16 games.
I think as time goes on, the standard moves. So the bar coming into 2016 for a third-year quarterback was rising, but they were a 3-win team to a 7-win team to a 12-win team. So part of the way we interpreted that year was this guy's about to take the next step and become a superstar quarterback, right? Like that's part of the deal. It's hard to roll back 3 years after that. You haven't been to double-digit wins. The team hasn't been over 500 since then. 6, 4, 7. That's 17 wins in 3 years coming off that 12-win season. You're just not going to get a year that you go, well, it stacks up statistically, or there are some other metrics that said I was better. There's just no way anyone's going to interpret it the same way because the bar has moved. The bar has moved from year 3 to year 6. And so you're not going to convince anybody of that. Now, the one thing I will say in his defense, I do think because of some of the stuff you're talking about, the balls being thrown in the ground, I think there's a lot of fair criticism of Derek. But I think he's become an easy target in the same way that Bryson DeChambeau's become an easy target. A couple of Fresno guys to stand up for here, John. Like I was watching Thursday coverage of the PGA Championship on ESPN Plus, and they show Bryson walking through the parking lot looking at his phone. And Sean McDonough goes, oh, what's Bryson looking at? You think a menu? To make a joke about how much he eats. And then the analyst goes, oh, he's probably looking at wind speeds to make a joke about how scientific he is. And again, all that stuff is fair. He's a public figure, golfer who does some crazy shit. So I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm just saying he's now become kind of an easy target where we talk about that shit more than we talk about the fact that he's an elite golfer, which he is. Now he's
well, guy. I'm looking up. He's about to tap, and he's about to be 4 under through 10
so he
holes
got to keep
with a
his
broken driver.
He got to get a new driver. So again, it doesn't mean that stuff is unfair. I just do hear with Bryson, it's easy to kind of pile on him. And some of that he's brought on himself. And the same with Derek. Some of that he's brought on himself. But that's part of, I think, what he feels is that people who haven't really been paying attention, just kind of everyone knows what the jokes to say are about Bryson. Same with Derek. And clearly he's heard a lot of that.
My pushback would be if we could put them both in a vacuum and they play the same sport, Bryson's a much superior player. Would you agree?
I'm just saying I think
I know what you're saying. Yep. Here's the other pushback. Okay, Derek. Yeah, we're not as locked into you because your team sucks, but you had a couple moments these last couple years in big spots against the Packers, against the Cowboys 2 years ago, where you fucked up, right? And you made terrible plays that lost you the game. And then you had a moment last year where it was like, oh, damn, biggest Raider game in 3 or 4 years, playing the Chiefs. Everyone's paying attention. If I remember correctly, Nance and Romo did the game. It was an afternoon game in Kansas City. You had 2 picks in the first half with a pick 6. So when you have big moments, you do not come up. And I want to be your biggest defender, but I'm sorry, guy, the disrespect, like, my take is
the Jets
game
the week before. That's part of the combination of those 2 games. Chiefs game.
I do think, I would imagine Gruden has told him, bro, you got to stop letting everyone talk shit. Because, like, I do think a lot of times people go, oh, everyone's being crazy, and it's all just social media. I do think with Derek, most people just think, like, that guy kind of sucks. Yeah, just non-social media, you're just at a bar. Like, most people that follow football would have a similar take with Derek. And I bet Gruden's like, draw a fucking line in the sand, bro. You once had an MVP season. You make a ton of money. Because that doesn't really sound like the Derek I know.
No.
Right? I think he's getting, and I know Mayock's kind of got a little swag. I bet it's coming from up top. Like, bro, come on. Where's the shit to you? And so Derek's trying to draw a line in the sand, be like, okay, it's over. I do think he's kind of talked like this, not the disrespect thing, but he said the same thing now 3 years in a row. We're going to be really good. I have a good season. I know what I'm doing. Like, his words mean nothing to me anymore. And I think this year there's going to be a little more pressure because if you wanted 2 years ago, the first year with Gruden, like, okay, let's throw that away. Last year was kind of hit or miss. The stats looked better than the eye test. This year it's like, well, you had Henry Ruggs that you could say, should he have been the 12th pick or whatever? I mean, he was definitely going to go really high. They draft 2 other guys in the 3rd round. They got Josh Jacobs returning. Waller kind of established himself. Their offensive line's pretty solid. Like, they should be a top 10 offense.
They should have a chance to make the playoffs, right? And that, to me, is top 10 offense, Derek's numbers, whatever. If they got a shot to make the playoffs, then it means he's playing in games that matter and playing well in games that matter. I mean, he said it.
He's got some games because of this new stadium. Now there's no fans there. They got a couple early primetime games, against. It ain't the Jags walking through that door, right? It's the Saints and the Bucks.
They'll go win 10 games and they'll get everyone will get their respect. Gruden will get his respect. Derek will get his respect.
Do you agree with this? He can't shit the bed in those 2 games in the first 7 weeks on national television for everyone watching. I think it's Monday and Sunday night. I forget the order, but everyone's going to be watching Brady in just that Sunday night game, week 2. Like, that's highest rated television show of the week. Like, you can't have a 3-pick game.
Week 3,
right? Is the Saints game?
Brady. Sorry, the Patriots are week 3. Brady doesn't play for them. The Saints game is week 2. The Bucks game is week 7.
So he can't have combined stats in that, like 1 touchdown, 4 picks, and lose both of them, and he looks terrible, right? Because then everyone's going to be like, don't ever talk again, Derek. We don't take you seriously. He plays well in those 2 games. I think he can change the narrative. It's important to play well in games when you play for a team that hasn't been winning in your 1 national television game, and he hasn't done that recently. So, Derek, of course everyone thinks you suck. This year, now that's going to be a huge talking point, I'd imagine, from Al, right? Derek's been, especially if they win week 1, he's tired of being disrespected. Al Michaels.
Oh. Like,
don't you think that'll be a big part, like, of the storyline in the game? Like, Derek's been talking about this. They're going to talk to him before the game. Like, it's just going to – he's got to play well, guy, when everyone's watching. Yeah. Like, throw touchdowns, make plays. We at this point in time, I'm not asking you to be Mahomes, but can you just be like Cousins? Can you have like a 3-touchdown game when everyone's watching? Because for as much as everyone, including myself, talk shit about Kirk Cousins, I think he's a much better player than Derek Carr
I've watched him have some big games, right? In big moments.
Who would you trust more right now in a big game if the teams are independent? Let's say you give Cousins and Derek the same team. You have more faith in Cousins right now than Carr, right? Without question for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't Cousins ahead of Derek on the quarterback tiers this year?
Yeah, way ahead of him.
So,
but I'm not even talking. But they were in technically the same tier. But my point is, like, Cousins is not as talented as you, and he is. Just
that's
a much
the other
better
one.
player
Like, to me, it feels like Derek has the power to make the answer to that question different.
Like, who possesses more talent?
Derek.
Jared Goff or Derek Carr?
Derek.
Yeah, that's part of, and you read that
also
in the deal.
Also could have gone to Cal, right?
Yeah, and don't you read that, like, when we talked about Derek in the tiers? Like, one of the things the exec kept saying, like, I wanted to shit, but his talent is there. Like, his arm talent, he can sling it. But he's getting to the point now, it's just like, he's just a guy that's slinging. He can't make any plays, though.
Yeah.
Like a poor man's Cutler.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, but Jay's had bigger games and bigger moments. Like, I remember him, even though Jay was a much better pro guy.
Sometimes.
Now Derek could be.
Yeah,
I mean, Jay had low moments. Derek has a ton of them too.
Yeah.
I'd have to really do like a statistical breakdown. Maybe I'm being I just when I'm just thinking about it, I feel like Jay was.
I just felt like every year with Jay
level.
was the same thing. Now maybe to degrees, but every year.
But isn't that kind of what Derek's become?
No.
Kind of the same kind of thing.
I'm just saying, like to say that Jay doesn't feel much better because every year with Jay was like, maybe this will be the year, but maybe not. Maybe I'm forgetting Jay's great 2-year stretch. I mean, Jay did put up some fucking numbers.
I feel like I just remember watching, like he could just, I didn't think he was always going to shit the bed on like Sunday and Monday Night Football. Do you have faith in Derek on like
But I don't
Monday
even
Night
remember
Football?
thinking about Jay like that. I didn't watch him like I watched every snap of Derek's life. You know what I mean? Or career.
That's true.
Not life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he played like, you watch a random Bears-Lions game and Jay throws 3 picks. I mean, I'm not saying
he led
Jay
the league in
couldn't look
picks
terrible.
twice, but that's not the point. The point is, did he have some
But
big games
I do
and
think
big
the
moments?
parallels are Jay more talented probably, but you
think?
you always
Arm strength.
his
but what
arm
about
was bigger.
athleticism? Because Derek's
Probably not as good of an athlete. But the point is, like,
strong
both
enough.
of them have top 5 physical characteristics, yet it feels like you underdelivered by a pretty wide margin right now. Jay, for sure. Derek is at this, feels like kind of at a turning point in his career. Is he going to kind of get it back on the tracks, or are we talking about Derek Carr, a backup quarterback in 2 years?
I mean, Jay was 74-79 in his career, so almost a 500 quarterback. Carr's 39-55. That's not almost a 500 quarterback.
His teams are Derek's teams. He's played on some shitty
Well, yeah,
teams.
but this goes back to this is the point, though, and a lot of it's not. I mean, he came into a 3-win organization, or they were a 3-win organization. But when he says, Darren Waller should be an NFL 100 player, or Rodney Hudson, or all these guys, it's like, because he even makes the point, if we win a bunch of games, then all of a sudden our Madden ratings will go up. It's like, yeah, they will. He's right, but 7-win teams don't have a bunch of guys. I don't know how many sub 500 teams had 3 or 4 or 5 guys on the NFL 100 this year.
Guy, the teams that had them all were like the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Niners. Like, part of getting 6-7 guys is being in the playoffs. Why? Because usually playoff teams, it doesn't go, yeah, that team won 12 games. They had 2 good players. Like, no, it's like, yeah, I mean, to win a division, you're going to need countless good players. It's not like, that feisty Jaguar team. Like, no. The Jaguars have a guy?
So the Saints,
Yannick, maybe?
I don't know, the Saints and Ravens each had 7, which was the most in the league.
How many didn't the Raiders have 3 or 4? Did Derek make the list?
I
don't think he did, huh?
don't see the team by team.
I saw someone tweet the other day, like, I'm trying to figure out the top 100 list, like a spreadsheet, and the NFL Network or the NFL.com does a terrible job of linking it.
Yeah, I've got to click through to. So Darren Waller was 99.
Gotcha.
But I got to click through every 10, like I'm on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was
like
just
I'm on
him
the
and
internet
Josh
in
Jacobs.
2013, where everything was a slideshow.
I think it was just him and Josh Jacobs, and that feels right. And you can say, hey, Darren Waller had a great season, but I mean, 2 years ago, the guy was in drug rehab. It's not like he's been on the top of people's mind.
No, but
right?
that's the point. If they won 12 games, then he would probably be not 99th, maybe 50th.
Well, yeah, you win 11 this year, and he has another good season. He'll be 67, right?
Maybe higher. Yeah, I mean, because everyone's like you said, everyone's going to be watching on so many of these games.
How about this guy? Just win some fucking games.
Podcast brought to you in part by Manscaped. Go get it. Go get it. We appreciate a lot of you actually have gone to manscaped.com. Use the promo code HAM.
Can you hear that?
Oh, Middlekauff. Multitasking during the podcast. Oh, my God, I don't want to see that.
It's clean. Lawnmower 3.0. Lawnmower 3.0 right there.
Holding that very close to your face.
You can watch in the, again, but it's been clean, I swear. It's got a little light. It's just incredible. Lawnmower 3.0, manscaped.com, promo code HAM.
Best trimmer on the market. If you need a chest shave or something else, 3rd-generation trimmer, features the skin-safe technology to reduce manscaping accidents. Don't give yourself an accidental nipple piercing or something else.
We don't want any bleeders,
ball
guy.
piercing.
We don't want any bleeders.
Plus, you get the perfect package. Manscaped Crop Preserver, Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant, Moisturizer, the Crop Reviver, Testy Toner. So many options, John.
The toiletry bag they send you.
That's right.
Everything is
the
sweet.
Shed Travel Bag and the patented high-performance reduced chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. When you subscribe, those are the 2 free gifts. 20% off and free shipping. Code HAM, manscaped.com. Do yourself a favor. Use the right tools for the job. Trim your chesticles with the besticles.
Do it.
Not to mention your testicles. So yeah. All right. We've been doing this restaurant Rex. John went to Mel's, but
I went to Mel's.
You went to Mel's. We just tell people DM us if you're part of a restaurant, if you have a local place. We've gotten a lot of great submissions. I love that a lot of times the submission is like, oh, you got a Tony or Matt or Derek or whoever, Jennifer behind the counter, the whole deal. I actually was DMing. Where did this one go?
It's hard to keep track on DMs.
It's so hard
sometimes.
to keep track. I screen grab, but then I've got way too
Then
many
it's hard
photos.
It's a challenge.
Anyway, I can't find that DM. But I did get a DM on Instagram. DM us on Instagram. I did get a DM on Instagram from Waldo. Waldo, who said his favorite burger, he's done like a burger sweep of San Francisco. His favorite burger is at a place called Sun's Addition, SON''S, Addition with an A. Sun's Addition in San Francisco. He said grass-fed burger, white cheddar, bacon, onion, marmalade, lettuce, charred scallion, aioli, and hand-cut fries. He said the beautiful thing about Sun's Addition right now, if you're going out to do like a weekend hang in Dolores Park, you tell them where you are. There's like a grid of the big old park with numbers. So it's like you tell them you're at like B4. They will deliver your brunch, your waffles, your burger to you at the park.
Have you ever had one? Have you ever had?
I've had the burger. It's a very good burger. I have done like a burger sweep of San Francisco before.
Yeah,
but
in the same day?
No, like over a few days. But it's just how many. It's like after a while you're like, I'm eating a ton of burgers. They're all $20. They're all phenomenal. Yeah. So support local. It's worth an $18 burger.
Yeah. Price point, you get what you pay for. At least
it's not like high school, John.
No,
where we would go. What was the spot where you get burgers and Mexican food?
The
chain.
Oh, Del Taco.
Del Taco, yeah.
Del Taco.
Chris cut.
I was thinking,
the like Orida fries.
What was the Chinese buffet spot that was $5.99?
Great Wall of China.
Oh my! I mean, I would say Great Wall of China Chinese buffet is in the Hall of Fame of dirty eats / sweetest restaurants in the history of America.
You never once walked out going, you know what? I feel pretty good.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it was $5.99.
Yeah,
might have been $6.99.
I don't think it was.
I remember sometimes you'd show up. You think it was more than that?
No. I think it was $6.99 max.
Yeah, it was just, and it was in high school, so sometimes you realize I don't even have any money.
I remember, it's funny you say that because I remember.
And like one dude
have
have a 20 and have to try to pay for 3 guys. You'd be paying with change.
You remember borrowing? Like, hey man, can I get $1?
Yeah,
because for lunch money.
You know what's crazy is like you order food now, like the side of fries is $6.99. I fucking ate like a king. I mean, you could eat 7,000 pot stickers. If that's all you want to eat is just pot stickers, they would give you unlimited pot stickers.
What are the things that are like kind of fried?
Wontons?
With the cream cheese in them and like crab.
Yeah, wontons. Yeah. The crab wontons.
Oh.
And you dip in the red sauce.
Oh.
I could eat crab wontons and pot stickers and chicken chow mein. Just those 3 items.
You remember just sitting
down.
And
orange chicken.
You remember sitting down
and
with
I love broccoli beaf.
Sitting down with like 2 plates. Like it's a buffet. You don't need 2 plates.
I love it when the juices all dip into other juices.
I'm with you.
I might order Chinese tonight. It sounds fantastic.
Well, I went Thai food the other day, and you just put you just got 3, 4, 5 things. It was 4 things, 5 things.
You let it just seep into each
let
other.
It all just, and you put like the fried rice in the middle of it, and then it just gets
all. What was the Thai food place called? You remember?
Oh yeah, I go there all the time. Lemongrass over on Polk. It's really good. I mean, you can get a lot of food they got several things that are like under $12.
So you get, I mean, for 2 of you can eat for like $30, basically.
Yeah, well, you order a lot. I didn't make the order.
Leftovers.
We were doing the podcast, and Alyssa texted me. She's like, "Can I order dinner?" I said, "Go for it." And there's all this food. I'm like, "This is phenomenal." She's like, "Yeah, might have spent $75." Like, jeez.
Well, you get to eat it for a couple days.
Well, exactly.
Right?
It was like several. It was at least 2. It was 3 meals for me afterwards. So,
I do think there's a point in time though with Chinese and Thai where you like, I'd say there's like a 48-hour window. 24 is still pretty solid. Once you get to that second day, it's more on just principle. You paid a lot of money, but it gets, it doesn't quite taste the same.
Now, do you always, what's your percentage of time you heat it up? Do you always heat it up?
I mean, I wouldn't eat it cold.
Oh, yeah, I do that.
You would eat the Chinese food cold?
Oh, yeah. I do it regularly.
I would. There's no chance I would eat the Chinese meal cold.
I mean,
I could eat a pot sticker cold probably, but I don't think I could.
If it's like the next day's dinner, then I'll put it all together, heat it up. But if I'm just grazing 2 o'clock, want a quick bite, just grab a fork, that's definitely eating cold.
Yeah, I would. I'm 100% heater.
Okay, I'm disgusting. That's fine.
That's pretty fucking gross.
All right. On that note, later.
Peace.